Sonic Boom!
Let's try a speed summary, E3 conference. Here we go. Need for Speed's back. Cars are flashy. My god, cars are flashy. I've been a big fan of Need for Speed for quite some time, but I stopped after like Underground 2. But it's back now. I hope with the new car community growing from car racing games, with the new online systems and new online communities growing, Need for Speed might just blow up. Because going back to the days of Underground and Underground 2, online play wasn't so big. But anyway, moving on.
Skulking!
Star Wars The Old Republic, new expansion, great MMO. The expansion is going to be called Knights of the Fallen Empire. Story driven, narrative driven, great, more story, more arcs for the online players in a more Mass Effect / bioware style of doing things, more dialogue trees and more content for the MMO genre of Star Wars, and I guess that's always good for players. It's gonna be free for anyone who's a subscriber, and I'm sure it's gonna blow people's minds if it's as good as they said it is. No real gameplay was shown, just a CG trailer, still well done. But anyway, it's MMO life, here we go. EA Sports still going strong, mobile and console and PC, everything. They are pushing mobile sports, they're pushing PC sports and other platforms. EA is going strong in this one. We're going in with NBA 2016. It's gonna have the new GameFaceHD app, which helps players take a face of themselves in real life to import it into the game into a more detailed 3D model, which they can then go further and customize, which is awesome as hell. I would like to see some of my friends in NBA. That'll be awesome. FIFA 16 coming in with the women's international teams. Amazing stuff. Me and my friends actually had a very big debate about this, because I personally thought that they added the women's teams for the sake of gender equality and supporting feminism, and I'm okay with it. But my question was, the teams were usually based on a 0 to 100 scale, but the problem is these were only men's teams, as there were no female teams in FIFA. Now in this case, will the females be rated on the same 0 to 100 scale? I would assume for the sake of equality they would be, and if so, how do the female teams stack up against the male teams? All interesting stats that I would hope to see one day. And potentially, will the women's teams be able to play the men's teams? Because I really want to use a female team and potentially play against the male teams. Like for example, if my friend's a big Brazil fan, maybe he picks the men's Brazil team, and I'm a big, let's just say I'm a big Germany fan, I can pick the Germans women's team, and then we can have a slugfest. That's gonna be awesome.
Help me! Help me! Help me! Somebody help me! Help me! Help me!
New Mirror's Edge Catalyst. The old model for the previous Mirror's Edge game is no longer there. Instead, they have a new person, a new face. The game is all about movement, open worlds this time, unlike the previous game. Bigger cities, more dense, more interactions, more places to leap and jump and hang and grab, more Mirror's Edge madness. I honestly hope that the story and the gameplay will be as good as the first, or even better, because this has been an all-time favorite for me personally. I love the Mirror's Edge franchise. Big props to EA for showing this.
Skulking!
Heads up, Star Wars fans, Star Wars Battlefield 3 is literally going to be the best Battlefield that I've ever played in my whole life when it finally comes out. I enjoyed Battlefield 1. Battlefield 2 was also an amazing game, but that was so long ago, it feels like an eternity now, and just to imagine Battlefield 3 is coming and it's looking better than ever. The systems are working amazingly, and I do have to say, if this is the final product, even if they were to release it right now, it would still be an amazing game. So with the time they still have in development, I'm sure the game can only get better and better, and I do hope it does, because that's one game I'm looking forward to. And on a closing note, let's talk about Street Fighter V. They've revealed Cammy and Birdie are entering the fray within the current roster of fighters. These were the two fighters that they said they'll introduce on E3. We're excited, Birdie's back, my homeboy, with the chain, with the mohawk. We're going in there, we're going in gangster. And for people who don't know, let's also talk about the battle system mechanics of Street Fighter V, some of the tidbits that have changed. Focus attacks that were a key unique modifier, or should I say a key identifier of the Street Fighter 4 series, are gone, and the revenge gauge, which used to be which would lead you to have a special move that you would unleash after it's been filled halfway or all the way towards 100%, giving it more damage, is gone as well. So now people may ask to themselves, what have they implemented? Well, the pacing of the game, the movements, the frames, the walk speeds, jump speeds, special speeds, all seem to be rather the same, but they did say the linking, one frame links are still available, but linking of combos is much more lenient, which is amazing, because my gripes with Street Fighter when I first talked about the potentials of what I would hope in Street Fighter is that I wanted it to be more accessible to people who are not as good as the professional players like me. I enjoy Street Fighter 4, but I know I'm not any good because of the fact that some of the combos are just too difficult for me. Even though I may be decent in other regards, you still need to be able to combo and get good damage. And if you can't get that damage, you're instantly put as a bad player, because without damage, very difficult to win a round. Now the fighting is more accessible, and then they've entered in with new mechanics called the V. This is supposedly supposed to do Street Fighter 5. V is Roman numeral for 5, but there's V skill and V reversals. Now what happens with V skills? V skills are unique skills to each character that everyone has that deplete the V gauge, which has replaced the revenge gauge. Now these can be different things. Nash has a teleport that you can use for mix-up and continuations of combos, and doing this teleport will deplete a certain amount of the bar, and that's his V skill. Ryu's V skill is a parry similar to what happens in Third Strike, and so on and so forth. They've introduced all these good, interesting mechanics, which will be difficult to balance considering the fact that not everyone has a parry like Ryu will have. So how would you balance it for other players? What will you give them in replacement of this parry that Ryu has? And you can look at V reversals, which are like alpha counters if you play Street Fighter Alpha, or block breakers or block guard pushbacks, similar to what you see in Mortal Kombat and Marvel vs. Capcom, whereby if someone is putting you on a block string, you're constantly blocking and you're getting put under pressure, you are able to use a certain amount of your V gauge to push them off and deal damage back to them, and then put you back in a 50-50 situation whereby you can try get back on the offensive. That's some amazing stuff. And then we've got some special arts, which are pretty much your supers, and these special arts require your meter just like your supers in Street Fighter 4. So it kind of puts you in a tricky situation whereby if you are someone who has a really good super art, for example, but your EX moves really lead you into good damage, you now have to think to yourself, do I use my EX moves or do I save up my bar to unleash one whole lump sum of damage with my special art? You have to debate that. It's very different approach to things. You now have to manage meter and damage. Your damage is your meter kind of thing. It's very interesting. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of data when it comes to that. And the final thing are the V styles. These are, well, I think they're called V styles anyway. These are certain states that the character can activate to enter into. For example, Ryu's V style will enter him into this whole lightning dungeon mode, whereby he gains the lightning on his fireballs, which get more pushback. He gets more pushback and damage on the uppercuts. He just deals more damage, and his normals put you on a larger block stun than normal. And Chun-Li, for example, when she activates her V style, it makes her normals, her mediums and highs do more increased hits. So for example, if you have a heavy punch which hits once and hits hard, when you activate her stance, her V skill of his style, her heavy punch might hit 4 times, which means that she has a better chance of going on the offensive to put you on block stun, and she racks up more stun damage on you and puts you in a stun for big damage. This doesn't apply to supers though, or specials. And everyone's is different, everyone's has different properties, and they have different ways of increasing this revenge gauge, not revenge gauge, but this V gauge. Lots of V's, lots of naming. I hope I named them right, but I'm sure the video I'm showing you right now is able to explain way better than I ever can. Street Fighter 5 looking amazing. I hope it's good. I really enjoy Street Fighter 4, but I hope this is the one Street Fighter where I can really get good in. And I don't know, you tell me what you think about E3 so far.